This meeting, this meeting is being recorded by the host or a participant.
And we have everybody mute as we're getting started. Hello, all. Thanks for joining us for the May edition of Cactus Poetry. And tonight we are honoring the 5th anniversary of the Poets Speak anthology series. And we have quite a few people that were in those anthologies, 5 books. And they'll be reading first, then we'll have some open mic at the end. And I'll hold up books. These are the Poets Speak anthologies. The covers were done by Denise Weaver Ross, who is our wonderful illustrator here in Albuquerque and an award-winning artist. So the Trumped was the first book, followed by a book that Jules put together called Hers, inspired by the women's movement, and then Water, on a very important subject, especially here in the Southwest, but really anywhere in the world. And then Walls, and finally Survival. Does not have a question mark, but maybe it should have. So I wanted to just give a little bit of background in the, the 2016 apocalypse or election kind of threw us all for a loop. And so I decided, well, maybe do something. And the Poets Speak While We Still Can anthology series was born. It almost didn't come out off the ground because 36 hours after Trump's inauguration, I had to be rushed to the emergency and had gallbladder surgery. So, and 36 hours before that, we had at this place called Casa de Culture in Albuquerque. We did a little play or a mask that involved the exorcism of the Strumpet King, who had orange hair and so forth. And I had to play that role, and I blame that for my subsequent malady. Anyway, but so we got the Trumped book done early that spring, and pretty quickly followed by Hers, and then that summer the Water anthology, and then the next year the final 2 books. So anyway, that's a little bit of the story of it. And we had, before the pandemic, we were able to have, large gatherings in a number of cities, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Minneapolis, New London, Connecticut, and so forth, Buffalo, New York, and so forth. And it was, I felt it was a really comforting thing to bring us together at a time when people were, a little bit like today's time. People were, just really worried and not sure of where they stood. So there's something about just getting together. And even though we're doing it virtually tonight, it's great to see your faces, and it will be great to hear your words. So Jules, did you want to say a couple of words about the Hers volume 2?
Yeah, sure. I'll spotlight myself here. Yeah, Hers came out even before the Me Too movement, and it's all about women. And there are women and men poets in here, but it's all about the struggle that we've had since pretty much time began from the Ice Age through biblical stories, the Madonna, how women are perceived in history. It captures all of that. And all of our authors are from many states in the US. We also had Mexico, the UK, and Scotland. And we've got some more well-known writers in hers, such as Margaret Randall, Judy Graham, Jane Lippman, who's here, Lynn Lifshin, who has unfortunately passed away, and others. So, and also when we originally released these series, we donated a lot of profits to various organizations, like the Southwest Women's Law Center, the American Civil Liberties Union, Southern Poverty Law Center, National Immigration Law Center, and the Indigenous Environmental Network. So those, that was a really nice way to do that. I have my Her shirt on, and you can get merchandise online. And if you don't have all of the complete set, I encourage you to get what you're missing. We do have the books on sale through today as well. So I will remove the spotlight and we'll just do the regular Zoom format.
And I had a couple more things I wanted to add to that. First of all, the El Chante Casa de Cultura was the place where we did the original Trump exorcism play, which is actually in the back of the book Trump. So I want to thank them. And also we had a lot of support from other places around, like Teatro Paraguas in Santa Fe, and John Macker, who's here, helped us have readings at the Peters Project in Santa Fe. Open Space Albuquerque was where we did the water launch. And so anyway, a lot of really helpful people. As Jules mentioned, all profits from the books went to organizations that were in the forefront of trying to resist whatever was happening. So I'm going to get started with maybe two poems of mine. And this one is one that I had kind of put aside thinking, oh, we don't need this poem anymore. And then more recently, we had to wonder. And oops, I got the wrong one.
And while John is doing that, I don't know what order you're doing, but if you just want to have your poems ready, so then you'll be ready to read. I can read one if you like, or are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay. This is called A Funeral Procession on Pennsylvania Avenue, January 20th, 2017, incorporating some lines from Eric Bogle's No Man's Land. Roll out the caissons, roll out the horse-drawn hearse, lead out the riderless horse. Let us hear the 21-gun salute. Let us hear the answering howitzers. Beat the drum slowly, play the fife lowly, sound the death march as they lower us down. Let the band play the old post and chorus. Let the fifes play the flowers of the forest. For George Washington is dead. Thomas Jefferson is dead. Old Tom Paine is dead. Benedict Arnold is president. For Abe Lincoln is dead. Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony are dead. Walt Whitman is dead. John C. Calhoun is president. For Teddy Roosevelt's dead. Gene Debs and Mother Jones are dead. FDR is dead. George Lincoln Rockwell is president. For John Kennedy is dead. Martin and Bobby are dead. Caesar Chavez is dead. The grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan is president. For all the champions of liberty are dead. The usurper assumes his throne, mounts his own grand monument, flanked by a mob boss to his left and a foreign despot to his right. So that was a rather grim poem, but that I think captured the mood some of us felt at that point. And I'll do one.
I'm going to say what volume you're reading from.
That was from Trumped, and this one is from the Survival volume. And this, again, is a poem that I didn't feel the need to read for several years, but now I do again. And many of you know my Joe the Poet series. So this is Joe the Poet's Guide to Surviving Fascism. 1, know who your true friends are. 2, live near the tracks and keep your suitcase packed. 3, keep your passport current. 4, helps to know some folks with a farm or cabin where you can hide out. 5, as Woody said, don't expect a handout from the rich, but the poor will share what little they have. 6, keep a sense of humor, even if it's gallows humor. 7, keep your guitar tuned. 8, keep on writing, but be careful how you share. 9, personal survival is important, but not the most important. 10, remember you contain multitudes, and me belongs to we. And the last has a little reference to the fellow here whose birthday it is today. Okay, so I'm going to turn things over to Jules to read a couple poems from hers or from wherever she wants to read. I think she has poems in all 5 volumes.
Well, yeah, and I think I'm going to read one now from hers. And while I'm doing that, John, can you type in the chat who you want to be in the next 3 readers? And then I'll save another one till the end. So this one's from hers. And it's My Nasty Woman Pantoum on page 103. Let's see. So I had the pleasure of reading this poem at the Capitol up in Santa Fe for, we were doing, I think it was the Women's March. So this is the Pantoum. I suppose I could have stayed home, baked cookies and had teas, but I've been labeled a nasty woman. If elected, I can sleep with an ex-president. The first dude can play sax full time. I am a nasty woman. Janet Reno's mother wrestled alligators. The first dude can play sax full time. Georgia said if I painted that mountain long enough, I would own it. Janet Reno's mother wrestled alligators. My life broken too, right there, Mabel. Georgia said, if I painted that mountain long enough, I would own it. I am proud to wear pantsuits. My life broken too, Mabel. I am fearless of the far side of 50, Erica. I am proud to wear pantsuits with zippers, flying first class without fear. I'll escape to an island. I've had enough. I am fearless, long past the far side of 50. Joan didn't sleep with any man who had a draft card. Flying first class without fear, I will continue to work with children. I would have been your Madam President. Victoria Woodhull was counting on me. Joan didn't sleep with any man who had a draft card. A woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle. I could have been your Madam President. Victoria Woodhull was counting on me. I would have kept abortion legal. Honey, if men could get pregnant, it would be a sacrament. A woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle. I wasn't elected, but I can still sleep with the ex-president. I would have kept abortion legal. Honey, if men could get pregnant, it would be a sacrament. I suppose I could have stayed home, baked cookies and had teas. So you all know who those women are in that poem. It was always fun to read that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Jules. Incredibly, unfortunately, extra
So
relevant.
true, unfortunately.
John,
Yes, George.
you have my name as reader. I'm not in the anthologies.
Oh, okay. All right. So we,
But thank you for the inclusion.
okay. I thought you were, but okay. We'll have you read a bit later then. Thanks. So our first reader is going to be Vincent Golphin, now living in Florida. I talked with Vincent for years in
Vincent.
Rochester.
Yo, hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Vincent?
I'm okay. Anyway, I know that you guys are scrimped for time, so let me just get to this as quickly as possible. I'm going to read a poem from the Walls book. Unfortunately, I don't have the book nearby, so I can't tell you what the page number is, but it's called Blues Steel. And just a little bit of background. I grew up in a place called Youngstown, Ohio, which became the poster child for Trump's America. Oh my God, I said the name that should never be spoken. Anyway, for Trump's America. And not only did he hold a number of rallies in Youngstown, but he went there and he promised the people a lot. And the reason why that town was so emblematic of the times in which we lived is because in 1970, the town was a steel town, been a steel town for decades. The whole life around the town is built on steel. And in 1976, one evening, the second shift got off and they sent the third shift home. And the mill was closed just like that. No announcement, no nothing. And that was the beginning of the end. And if you go to Youngstown today, what used to be the city of Youngstown is virtually like a ghost town. Even the center of town has shifted to what is called Canfield, which used to be a suburban like village. And now it's the place. But anyway, this was thinking about walls, and I shared this memory from my years there. It's called Blues Steel. I used to watch the steel men at paydays gather at the gate to the main yard on third shift, crowd together under the light of a single bulb to check the yield one last time as behind them broad black furnaces belched soot and fire against the blue-black sky and ghosted clouds. Finished for the week, they fingered dollars like silk, stuffed checks, folded double into hidden pockets in denim shirts, coats, and pants, then marched away from the light as brothers in the struggle against the risk to live with what's real as they give bodies, breath, and muscle to flame and hot ash. 8 hours in the mill becomes a double, a triple, because I just lost my page. Hang on. Computers. I've had it in front of me and it messed up. Hang on, I can't get the manuscript. Come on. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. 8 hours in the mill becomes a double or a triple because needs rule. The world must have steel and the kids need clothes, braces, or shoes. United in the steel's lava flow, on earth they live in polite separation. White men cut away from the blacks with a wave or a nod, with the scarred arms, bent backs, and coal-smudged faces. They dance the relentless tune and learn to sing the blues. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincent. And as Janet points out, that's actually your poem from the Survival volume, page 71.
Okay.
You would lose.
Well,
Yeah.
Janet knows better
Yeah,
than
right.
I.
Okay, yeah. Did you want to read a second one, Vincent, or?
I can, yeah. I mean, I just thought we were supposed to do one, but I can, yeah, sure.
You too.
Well, I
Um,
think the contributors can read up to 2. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Your other one from Walls was called, Recollections, I think.
Yeah, I don't have that one easily at hand. Let me see if I can, the one I did here, hang on, I have one that might even be timely. Now I don't know if this poem made it into a volume. I know it's one that I sent you, and it's
Okay.
one that when I thought of it, when I think about what happened in Buffalo, this is the poem that I thought of, called Cry Justice. Fished after blistering August days in the Tallahatchie muck, dead Emmett showed the world black luck. Beaten beyond recognition, the 14-year-old's pleasant face, crushed by a bullet and blows to teach his kind their place. As the world was engaged by his fatal pain, black folks cringed in fear they might make no gain. Ryan and Milam bragged that they fixed that city boy, then bound Emmett in tears faced all the hell they could employ. The bloated remains revealed no sense of why his mom, Mamie, in shock and horror, could only cry as the world embraced that mother's bitter pain. Her race stabbed its wounds with the hope for change. Mississippi justice slammed through her door. Since then, unjust sentences have swallowed hundreds more. So many young men America watches white fear kill. Even the law consumes black lives at will. Those who hope for justice honor Emmett and the others. Listen with broken hearts to stories told by grieving mothers. Americans acknowledge blacks and fears and pains with a future that promises little hope for racial gains. And like I said, I wanted to read that one because not only the things that have been happening for the last year or so in terms of shootings and things like that by police, but even the kind of violent shootings that take place in places like Buffalo that seem to make no sense at all. And the only sense in them is this rage that we have in our country that is going to consume us all eventually. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Thank you, John and Jules,
Thank you,
for
Vincent.
inviting me.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Good
Thank
to
you.
see you, Vincent.
Yes, thank you.
You can feel free to unmute and clap in between.
And next up, we're going to have the next 3 are going to be Kitty Jospe, Gretchen Schultz, if she's here, and Carolyn Merrifield.
Okay. Well, thank you, Vincent, for your poem. I put in the chat. I'm reading from Survival on page 77. The poem is "Wait, It's Not Too Late."
Great.
There's a little epigraph from William Stafford. Peace on my little town, haze blessed, sun friended, dreaming, sleepy days under the world champion sky. God, we want to get back there, right?
Yes.
Anyway, wait, it's not too late. Wait points to listen, points out, be patient, thrusts an index at I'm about to tell you, or drums its fingers under let me explain. Child count in this hopscotch where every jump matters as the rope turns. Tag, you're it. Wait, I didn't agree to those rules. Wait, when it's not about you as the sun rises, sets, no matter the weather. Wait, W-E-I-G-H-T, wait, when you're the mother begging for a safe neighborhood, pleading, we are all fastened by gravity. Don't weigh it or travel the speed of prayer, hoping this time something will change for the better. Don't smash champagne on the maiden ship, firecracker a new season. Don't wait up, wait on or not, wait in, for until after way upon way, life circles on each present moment, shrugged to the next. Look up at the world champion sky, above the hazy town where we live. It's not too late. It's that one.
I got to applaud that. Thank
Good
you.
job. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, we got to be reminded, we all have the same laws of gravity. The other one is from Walls, and it's called Colors. It's on page 15. Inspired by Dunya Mikhail. Colors. The generals post a map, draw boundaries a child could color. Purple for Iraq, yellow, Syria, blue, Kuwait, red, Afghanistan, green, Vietnam. The child will not draw black lines that lead to missiles, black crosses for intended battles. No, the child draws wisteria, so it swings in the wind over a field of wildflowers, sweet violets, delicate but proliferous, buttercups for children to pick and put under the chin, laughing to ask, do you like butter? Before they know about luxury or humility. Forget-me-nots, whose small faces fill with fidelity to loved ones, despite separation or other challenges, before they know about Alzheimer's or the Armenian genocide. Poppies for remembrance, before they know about Flanders and the First World War. The lush green bells of Ireland, said to represent luck, before they know about Hallmark cards and appropriated holidays. The child does not know the colors display the effects of American engagement. For Iraq, purple stained fingers. For Syria, yellow mushroom of the chemical attack. For Kuwait, blue passport, failed revolution. For Afghanistan, red cross, red crescent, and those poppies, opiates. For Vietnam, green leaf kratom to relieve pain, aid for withdrawal. The child perhaps once thought colors fall from rainbows, like promises in the story of Noah's Ark. What lies in the map of wars? Smart, beautiful colors, waving standards for killing. It ends for us all in the color of dust. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. The color of dust. I've been, now every day in the papers, we see the maps, the battle maps from Ukraine. It never ends. Thank you. Next up, also from Rochester, Gretchen Schultz, who also, as well as including some fine poems in the anthologies, also contributed quite a few black and white photographs, which were quite effective. Is Gretchen here? If so, please unmute.
I'm here.
Oh,
Hi,
good. Hey.
hi, John and Jules and everybody. Kitty
Yeah.
and everyone.
Glad your dog is back.
Oh, yeah, my daughter's dog. So glad. She had a good time, but we didn't looking for it. I'm on page 37 in Trumped. It's called Deluge. Number one has already rolled overhead. Number 2 is here, pounding on the door. Number 3 is on the way and should be arriving in 25 minutes. 4, 5, 6, and 7 will be performing by supper time. Please be seated as the baritones and blowhards, the bass drums and windbags, the braggadocios blast this country wide open. That was when the Republicans had like, I don't know, 16 people running and they were all on stage at the same time. Number 2, whiteout freezes everything in its path. The truth becomes inadvisable. The known is gone. The unknown arrived. Eyes closed to harm. The damage is drastic. Mighty element of greed is blasting through. It will be the undoing of all strides made forward, with winds blowing, tidal waves crashing, copious amounts of trash, all along the shores of her beautiful self, where the vulnerable sit naked, strangers in a new country, light is barely visible on the waters of Lady Liberty. Sad what we're going through all over again. It hasn't really stopped. It's just
No.
seems to get worse. It's heartbreaking. And it really makes me really, really angry.
Well, thank
The
you.
second, oh, you're welcome. The second one is from Walls. It's page 58. Refugee, sorry. Yellow leaf flutters, sparrow wings flail, falling towards nothing on a refugee's trail. Old dog mesmerized, caught in dark stare, while refugees rock rubber boats going nowhere. Some people own houses 3,000 feet or more. Children with no blankets sleep on a cold forest floor. Yellow leaf flutters, sparrows' wings flail, falling towards nothing on a refugee's trail. Thank you. Dark.
Thank you, Gretchen. Quite powerful. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Next up from Brockport, New York, and also spends a lot of time in Florida, Carla Lynn Merrifield. Carla, can you unmute?
Working on it. There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. It's great to be back in Brockport. I'm gradually settling in, and this is a great way to do it with all kinds of homies and other poet pals. So I'm going to read 2 from Survival. The first one is on page 51. Sharita Triptych. Good trumps evil. In the New World Order, we are totally expendable. We old broads with Walker or cane. We post-fertility crones. We wrinkled lesbians. We blacks, we browns, we reds, we yellows, we whites. We destined for the landfills. But primal dreads go unacknowledged. So you abandon your humanity out of fear. I have developed PTSD from the venom. Violent poetry gathers force. Poets are the first to be hauled out and shot. Lorca, Mandelstam, because our pens become nuclear weapons. Nasty women write. Tonka, haiku, renga, charita, all night, every night. So nasty women can unite to tell the story of Medusa's mirror in freeing millions, among them the poets. Okay, let me find, thank you. Okay, the next one is same volume, Survival, 153. And I think it's kind of interesting tonight that so many of us have read from Survival. It's like, we need this particular book right now.
I think
Anyway.
we had no idea in 2018 when that book
Right.
came out, just what
Right,
kind
right.
of roller coaster was ahead.
yeah. So here we are, right now on page 153. Thank you, John. It's called Breaking Silence. And this was kind of a hard one to read. It's in the tradition of Bill Hand's chainsaw poems, which he also calls one-line couplets. So it's a long line with a very short return and then another couplet. Anyway, so here we go. Let me try. Breaking Silence. For a messy, I peed my PJs, and terrifying, a la Kafka moment, I sang. I, who cannot carry a tune in a tote bag, sang like a canary, albeit one in a coal mine. I, the one offbeat, arrhythmic, warbled a mezzo-soprano area, the heroine's warning of chaotic incompetence and a moral lust for robots and drones swirling in the maelstrom sweeping across the land far above my cage in the dark pit of imagination. For I, Serenus Canaria forma domestica, fly beyond the bituminous West Virginia mine of my willing captivity, trilling the future.
Trilling the future. Wow. Wow. Ah.
Thank you. Both of
Thank you.
All right. Next, let's see. Next, we're going to have Bart White, if he's here, Dwayne Wilder, who is here, and Tony Brown, if he's here. So Bart, or if you're here, please unmute.
I don't see Bart.
Okay, well,
Magic twinger, Bart.
we'll come back to him if he comes in. Dwayne, you're up from Rochester, New York. Good to
Okay,
see you.
it's wonderful to be among this distinguished company. I couldn't find my copies of this series, so I will read poems, but I have no idea in which volumes they occur or where, what page number. So the first one is Water for Wishing. We may have yet hopes. We have explanations from interested parties. We have politicians with pledges, corporate persons whose managers format soothing assurances. Things do blow up, trains, pipelines, bombs, tempers, gunmen, but never near us. philanthropists eager to divide the load among us, neighbors who bear the load with us, shoulder to shoulder, hug to hug, tear to tear, moment to moment, through decades of hours to come, in a world where we all deny for fear, else we perish, wishing only unpoisoned water, only fit air, only a clear place to stand, but not knowing this, wishing only not to perish.
Thank you, Dwayne. That's such an incredible ending. And it's on 146 in the water anthology, Water for Wishing.
Thank you. The next one, I guess, is from hers. It's Making Time, and it was written for Gretchen Schultz. To beat like a heart, mark out memory and expectation of the valves next opening, the blooms next closing, the flowers next arising, the past's heavens and hells engorged and spilling, beauty forgotten in necessity, to see beauty arise out of its birthing mess, struggle for air, licked dry by the mother, engorged with milk, hungry for the placenta, to rest for a moment in beauty or nothing, not knowing the difference, to see in oneself the other, all others, none at all, to arise like a blazing sun, commanding the day, yet finally entreat the wife's moon's glow, to wax and wane like a tide of sea and endeavor, building beaches, destroying them, to make life, to live, to flourish, to grow cold as the grave, knowing no thing passes through the gateless gates, guarded in enigma of birth and death, to open, to close, open, close.
Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you. Let's see. Does Bart come in yet? No, I don't think so. Is Tony Brown here?
I do not believe so, no. So let's do another.
Okay, well then, if they're here, again, I'm going kind of east to west, time zone wise. If John Dorsey is here, he's next, followed by Richard Broderick, followed by Jane Sadowski, if she wants to read. I don't know if she wants to read or not. So
I do not, Rich Broderick is not here.
and no John Dorsey.
I don't think so.
John, if you're here, please unmute.
No,
Or Jane Sadowski, is she here? How about G.E. Schwartz?
yes.
Jerry, please unmute if you are here.
G.E. Schwartz, you're on. Okay, and who's after G.E.?
So none of the people I mentioned are here except for GE.
Who's
How
after
about
G.E.? Just-
Randy Cruz and Lauren Mimi?
Well, Lauren's here. Let's see. I don't know if Randy's here.
Okay, Lauren, you're up next then.
Okay, here we go.
We moved through. Love the cat. Okay.
We're moving quickly.
From Walls, page 112.
All right.
Kabir on the border. Here along the imaginary separation of the geopolitic, each side looks alike. The dark shadows of water and pines, the same. The clouds, the same. The making of love, the same. Birth and death as ubiquitous as the rising sun or moon, and so too the setting, all the same. So too the turning of the season, same air, same blood. Where is the border of this thing called country in the midst of all this sameness? On the glacial pool, I am reading Kabir. His words leap from 15th century Persia to speak of that other sameness, where he says, spirit is a border seldom crossed, though no visa is necessary for consciousness. Yet few travel that path. His words cut the air, sharp as the sound of mosquito wings, startling the sleeper to wake. Even when the mark of hunger's bite disappears, the knowledge of having been bitten remains under the northern lights, a decaying afterthought of chilled waters. I want to float on those waters, sans motor, sans boat, sans feasting insects, sans body, letting the heart float beneath the curtain of light like a dragonfly. I want to soak in starlight and cross the borders of spirit to sing statelessness. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Good to see Christine as well.
Yeah, that was quite lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
Christine might want to, I think might want to do something in the second half, so.
Oh, good. Okay, excellent. Just remind us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, are there any, let me say, are there any East Coasters present who were in the volumes that have not yet read? We did have three guys from Scotland that were hoping to get up at 2 a.m. to read, but they didn't. Anyway, and then we're moving to the Midwest. Are there any Midwesterners presently in the Midwest who, or in the central, let me put it this way, are there any other central time zone people who are in the anthologies who have not yet read? Okay.
Oh my.
No. Is that a no? Yeah, I guess that's a no. Okay. Then we're going to move to the to mountain time here. And let's see, is Larry Goodell still here? I'd like to have Larry Goodell and Mary Dudley and Catherine Saluja, if they're all here, be the next three. So Larry, unmute if you're here.
Can you hear me? Because I haven't done this in so long.
We can
We
hear
can
you,
hear
Larry.
you.
Okay. Well, like a lot of others, I was going to read. I'm just going to read from survival, but no, you know, here in New Mexico, we're suffering big wildfires, and it's just some of the most beautiful little villages and in the world close to fire and all that. So I've got to read something from water. We've been in drought for so long. And hello to everybody. And I want to thank the saints who are here, namely John and Jules. I appreciate your sainthood.
I don't know if we're saints.
Those saints to me are the poets who are not just poets, poets who do other things, poets who help other poets, poets who publish poets, poets who do as much as they can to broadcast poetry and make it available. Those are the saints to me.
I agree.
This is called None of Us Are Poor. The springs are running dry, but none of us have to cry. The snows won't come, but that only worries some. We populate in the place of our dreams. We got what we want. Oh, yes, it seems. There isn't any water. There isn't any water. But don't worry, there's people galore. There isn't any water. There isn't any water. But don't worry, there's money and more. There isn't any water. There isn't any water. But don't worry, there's lots in the store. There isn't any water. There isn't any water. But don't worry, none of us are poor. We get it in a bottle with wine and liquor. Markets full from ceiling to floor. There isn't any water. No drip, drop, drip. But don't worry, there's money and more. There isn't any water. Pipes run dry. But don't worry, there's people galore. There isn't any water. Nothing in the faucet. But don't worry, there's lots in the store. Market's full from ceiling to floor. We don't worry. None of us are poor.
I love that one.
Oh, great.
Bravo.
Absolutely.
So from survival. And this is these are remarkable anthologies, very timely. And what would we do if there weren't people that would go to all the work to put stuff like this together and make it available? Not only that, set up Zoom readings, etc. So this is called Que Pasa Picasso, from Survival, page 26. I've always loved that. I like short expressions that are beautiful, full of music, like Ed Doran's Hello La Jolla. It's such a, so I like Que Pasa Picasso. Ugly vanity, ugliness tainted with poison inside. One accolade after another can't sustain the bric-a-brac ego based on everything gone wrong. Emollients become emoluments. Que pasa, Picasso? Where has true greatness gone? And we're left with a leader of fine filth, total devastation of good, a lying excuse for humanity unhumaned, sad trace of flesh, getting everything wrong and proving it as the evil cohorts come out of the closet. The gangs of uncivil idiots multiply under the vermin watch of their leader. If beauty is to survive, every free discipline of creativity must take the spotlight, can only put out art before art is put out. Bring out every play, poem, painting, performance, song, ensemble, band, orchestra, instrument, jazz, hip hop to sustained opera, singing at its heart level, the intense comic, satiric art, forms of words, and all music at high determined outflow in the most beautiful song of survival ever to exist. We are creating an exit to madness, a restoration of the best of our revolutionary drama. Que paso, Picasso? I see you everywhere. We are all reasserting our improvised strength to topple the most pathetic bitch of our time, the effete poop head of our world, of our would-be destruction. Que pasa, Picasso? Everywhere, create ourselves out of this madness.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you.
Right
Bravo.
on there, right
Bravo.
on.
we are
Oh,
creating an exit.
Super.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say that, Larry Goodell from Placitas, New Mexico, has been a saint of poetry for some 60 years or so now and is still
Oh,
doing
thank
the
you.
work incredibly energetically. Yeah, thank you, Larry. And let's see, I think I said next, I think I had said Kathleen or
No, Mary Dudley.
Mary Dudley and then Kathleen Saluja if they're here.
Oh, thank you again, John and Jules, St. John and St. Jules.
I'm Mary.
Blessed. I'm going to read about from two poems from hers. The first is Lupe, and it's dedicated to our little sister, La Virgen de Guadalupe. It took me a long time really to understand that the story of Guadalupe and of the Virgin Mary was really the story of a man telling a woman that she will have a child. And she really had nothing to say about it. She was ordained and told to. So this is a poem to Lupe. Were you sweeping the floor in your mother's kitchen, thinking impure thoughts about Jacobo, when that dodgy guy showed up? The one who said he was an angel with a sketchy story about God's baby already in your womb? Didn't you have dreams of your own? A home, a garden, a small vineyard perhaps, with purple grapes, plump, yielding wine, sweet as a kiss. Babies of your own? They gave you to an old man. No one questioned his intentions. You bore that boy, neither his nor yours, raised him up to see him killed. To that you gave your life. No one asked if you would. You did as you were told. But now, Lupita, look. People wear your image on gold around their neck, in pins on their jacket. They've made a goddess out of you. A princess, a queen is what you are. Why, they hang your picture from the mirror in their car. You're on potholders, little sister, and on tote bags and pillow tops. Prisoners wear you inked upon their chest, where when they fight, fists batter you. You bleed, but everyone's your fan. No, you didn't get to choose your life. But look, Lupe, you're a brand. And following on that theme is half. When I was young, most prayers were in the Father's name and in the Son's, as if there'd been no mother in that family of faith. There was the Holy Mother, and my friends and I, we prayed to her. We thought she'd understand how people could be cruel, how boys could take your love and break your heart. Like all the girls I knew, I lit candles too and prayed novenas, said the rosary. I wanted Mary on my side to pitch my pleas. I thought if she had made her boy turn water into wine to keep a wedding happy, maybe she would help with my exam, my dad, my senior prom. The prayers at church and home were in the Father's name and in the Son's, as if there'd been few women in that family of faith. No daughter, not a single sister, just one mother, just a single one. And now, well, now I know that half the story, half the truth's no truth at all. If you hear half a story, you'll never get it right. And what you think you know is wrong. What's not there colors all that is. A sum's not greater when you leave out half the parts. To hear the truth about a story, you need to make it whole. You need the other voice. You need the woman's soul.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, love those poems. Yes.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. we need to
I
hear
love,
them.
Mary, I love when you read these because I've read these when you're not around sometimes, and hers is still my favorite.
Hers is really strong, but I have to say, I'm really glad to have poems in all of them. And
Yeah.
I think because women are at such risk these days, I wanted to read those two
Yeah.
from hers.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is Catherine here?
I'm
Catherine
here.
Yeah.
I'm here, John. Hi. Hi, everybody. Zooming in from Santa Fe. I'll be lighting novena candles to St. Jules and St. John all week up here. Just thank you,
Don't forget
Mary.
that's-
Light candles, pray for rain if you're gonna do something.
Well, that's on you. I just light them. You guys gotta do that
Who
intercessory.
who is the patron saint of rain? Anybody know?
Mm, I don't have that off the
Black
top of my head.
That's your homework assignment.
Must
Okay.
be Noah.
We'll look it up. I want to thank John and Jules also for all of this work, holding these poems, creating the whole series, and then celebrating this great anniversary of the series. At the time that the first books came out, it was it really was a place of, you know, of balm, of respite, because many of us, I'm guessing almost all of us here, were really not such happy campers about the political scene. I'm going to be reading two Walls poems. Only one of them is in the Walls anthology, and the other one is a newer Wall poem that John graciously approved for me. So the first one, though, is in the Walls anthology. I don't know the page number, but it's called If You Need a Wall. If you need a wall, gather moon gray field stones, black river rock beetles, level your ground, extract every weed, divining rod in hand, consider its height. Let the children etch curly Q Ys and Gs. Your neighbor will lean there, careless robin might drop a twig, while lily and gourd will curl at its base, mix mortar, water from your father's well or your grandmother's almanac. Summer may wrap it in heat, ice will brittle each crevice. There's room for crayon drawings, his wide-ruled love note, St. Anne's birthday card. It will contain your life. Leave it open for chocolate brown quail, mud to frost each layer, or blue pebbles picked from the shore. You'll need a stout trowel. Work swiftly. Mortar sets faster than grief.
Mortar sets faster than grief. That's a great line. Yeah. And
Thank you. And then another Wall poem, and I just have to say, again, probably singing to the choir, but in the midst of everything that's going on, there are still thousands and thousands of migrants crossing the our border, attempting to cross our border, waiting on the Mexican side of our border, being held probably illegally, in my opinion, in many, many detention centers / jails with horrible COVID unsafe practices. So when we light candles, do me a favor and light a candle for all of them as well. They're my special interest. So this one is called The Function of Walls. In some ceremonies, the medicine man will use a badger's claw or paw. Fatigue, pathologic, longitudinal, spiral, compression, oblique, green stick, comminuted, transverse, simple, compound. A gate, more of an arbor than a door. Technique is all. An additional tablespoon or two to reach the desired consistency. For the present, all that needs to be said. DNA resembles a tape subdivided into units. It is elastic, rugged, and under ordinary circumstances, self-generating, more common than its cousin, the raven. Those who are gone, those who remain, migrate at night in flocks. Raven is much more shy. Royalty must be duplicitous under the guise of diplomacy, requires a cavity for nesting. The clouds hang low, and I can only think of the border, call upon coyote, and the function of walls. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Before we continue, Scott Wiggerman in the chat informs us that Saint Swithin is the patron saint of rain. And the saying goes, if on Saint Swithin's day it rains, it will rain for another 40 days. Saint Swithin was a beloved English monk who lived during the last half of the 9th century. Thank you for that, Scott. And since you graced us with that, I would like you to go next. Let's see, the next three we'll do Scott and Janet Ruth and Gail Loridan, if they're here.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to start with a poem from Water, appropriately enough. And it's on page 91. It's called Gaia, a Lesson. Our world was green then, a lush and lively bounty of dreams, an endless festival of fields and leaves. But that was when rain still fell, before roots diminished to husks and trees toiled their last gasp, before the drunken bellies of seas recoiled into unthinkable depressions, before the planetary party fizzled into a dry, flat earth, as some had warned it would. Our world is brown now, another world stripped to loam, ashen and pockmarked by caverns, hollowed chambers, mouths frozen in hopeless appeal, sockets where eyes once shone, a tearless residue on the face of a planet that has left us, no longer knowing if we are the living, no longer caring.
Wow. Yeah,
and for more upbeat poetry.
I wanted to say, I love that line, before the planetary party fizzled. Yeah.
I was actually looking through the 5 volumes earlier, and I thought this one actually seems very appropriate given what's just happened in Uvalde. So I'm going to read this one. It's from Survival, and it's a golden shovel that starts with that includes a Dickinson line. It's called Twilight Time. It's on page 120. A good day for tears, for shadows that skim adobe walls and leave us devastated, for skies that offer thin condolences, for childhood's amputated crayons, and the entire trying realm of adolescence. We are stronger now, or so we tell ourselves, but nothing's easy as platitudes. How many years to go to outlive the damages we cannot repair. That's it. Thank you.
And Scott lived for many years in Austin, Texas. Yeah,
Where we
Thank
did
you.
get lots of flooding and rain.
exactly. And next up, also from Albuquerque, is Janet Ruth.
Hello, everyone. The first poem I'm going to do is from water, and from my years doing field research on desert grassland birds, and still seems to be appropriate today with the drought issues. It's called Waiting. Beneath the washed out blue of a blistered sky, last year's grass clumps, brittle curls, bristly stems, remnant seed heads, cured by the heat of a brilliant sun, appear as dusty death, hiding roots and a living center. Waiting. Grasshopper sparrow, the colors of cured grass, deep chestnut tanglehead, steel gray tabosa, tawny saccatone, rabbit brushes secret lemon yellow, crouched invisible in the grass clump's shade, a bright, dark eye, waiting. Deep in the thick crusted mud neath the grass clump, legs and feet drawn in lozenge-shaped warty form, heart slowed, thick mucus encases moist, breathing skin, hides expandable bubble throat and bleeding call, couches spadefoot-toed, waiting. At the rim of a bleached and sear horizon, thin wisps catch on the huachucas, trail from the Santaritas, thicken, boil skyward, brilliant white, billow into iron gray promise. And now they are gone, like a whip snake into the grass, trailing a veil of verga, a muffled rumble, a distant jagged flash, and the alluring pungent smell of ozone. Breeze dies, sun presses down, air is heavy and thick with heat and dust, everyone still waiting for rain. And the other one is from Survival. And this is written after a poem by Patty Ann Rogers, with whom I share a birthday. Her poem's title was Supposition, and mine is called Supposition for a Different Age. And it has some sort of specific language from a time of a previous administration, but nevertheless, it seems like there's a lot of things that still apply today. Supposition for a different age. Suppose the molecular transformations happening in the mind during the act of rising together resulted in a wave of shouting, clapping atoms swirling around the earth. Suppose that wave swelled in the unification of its intention. For instance, the expanding ripple from a single pebble tossed into a still pool, or the gradually synchronized tiny blazes of chemical flame emanating in response to the first firefly's glow. Suppose rising together, diverse, had physical properties and actually perpetuated itself, a solid thing. What if the shape and texture of its being rose beyond the particular places of individual risings, became a permanent music reverberating in the heavens? The deep, rich a cappella voices of Sweet Honey and Rock, round and golden as the rising sun. Pulses, pulsing, throbbing drums in Yosemite Socoan camp in North Dakota. The heartbeats of the Pleiades, an atomic manifestation, the musical score for the libretto. How wondrous the diversity among birds, insects, plants, and humans. How particular the greater bird of paradise, the Madagascar sunset moth, the Venus flytrap, the transgender child whose name we do not even know. Suppose rising diverse, evolved from our individual beings by our will and actions, had its own existence. What if multicolored harlequin hues gathered, combined and recombined like a kaleidoscope, transforming light, affecting the rose tints on the Sandia Mountains beneath the setting sun, or cause a perturbation in the trajectory of a yellow-haired meteor flaming across our political heavens? What if rising together diverse created necessary catalysts for the tumultuous evolution of which we dream? Suppose for us to rise together, there was an element of need, as if a sodium atom sat waiting for a water molecule with which to ignite an explosion that would change the world.
Thank you, Janet. Such a wonderful journey in that poem. Yeah. And Janet Ruth, if you don't know, is an ornithologist, and she wrote a book called Feathered Dreams that I highly recommend. It's from Mercury Heartlink Press. So, yeah. And we even have a few copies here at the Playhouse. Okay, so if they're still here, I would, first of all, I had
Gail next.
yeah. Oh, Gail, sorry, Gail.
Next, yeah.
Gail, then yeah. Go ahead, Gail.
Okay.
Okay, unmute. Okay.
Okay, hi.
Right.
I've just been thinking of all the, feels like thousands sometimes, but it's not that many poetry books I own. These 5 volumes I value more than anything else. I'm going to read 2 poems from Survival. The first one is on page 62. United States History. 1. Beneath the great hump and coarse curling hair, bones bend and stretch. Shake the massive low-slung head. Move muscles an arrow will claim for meat. Herds 4 million strong migrate to feeding grounds carried over distance by bones porous and thick. 2. Sitting Bull's Sioux bend 1,000 arrows to claim the last 1,000 beasts. The rest lost to rifles and greedy alien hands. Bless these beasts with arrows. Bury these bones in sacred mounds. Excuse me. 3. Bone pickers bleed the plains, sell for $9, $12 a ton the warm bones streaked with muscle. Bone buyers make combs, knife handles, and refined sugar. The beast lives in your hair, your pocket, your Sunday cake. 4. That was then. This is now. There will be no cake, for there is nothing sweet in erecting walls. There will be no wheat without GMO. Your pocket will be lined with lint. No national parks with the beauty that was. The Sioux survived with tattered lives. We look to them in the majestic bison to see ourselves, the shadows we will be. Thank you. I have to apologize for my voice. I don't know what's wrong with it. The next one is on page 93. Ease. In this time of death, I play Sudoku in Japanese. The round numbers of death calm and provide ease. In the rocking chair, I take my ease. Broad strokes of death paint the page, our country blemished for the next stage. No options exist for age, no options for truth, for beauty, for youth, a world without Ruth. In this time of death, I take my ease. Numbers upon this page breed Gothamers of truth. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you very much. And since we have quite a few Foothills authors here, I want to mention again a tremendous book that Gail wrote on an historical figure, Eunice Williams, and the book is called All the Wild and Holy. So pick that up if you don't have a copy from Foothills Publishing. Thanks very much, Gail. Speaking of Rochester, I noticed Larry Bell had come in. Larry, are you here at the moment? And did you want to read? Maybe he's no.
I am here.
Okay, hi, Larry.
Hi, John. Hi, Jules. Congratulations on your achievements.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Did you want to read a poem or not? Or
No, thank you.
okay. Well, good to see you. Okay. Was that a no or a yes?
What's wrong here? It is a no. I can't
Oh,
make it
okay.
say no.
All right. Okay. Then we're going to move on. We're going to move back to New Mexico. The next is Jules. Is Mary McGinnis here? She was earlier.
Yes, Mary is here.
Okay, it'll be the next three readers are going to be Mary McGinnis, John Macker, and Pamela Warren Williams.
At least I thought she was Mary.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah,
What?
good. Okay, great.
Okay. I'm
So-
going to read from Water, a poem called Wetlands. Will not be marooned. My friend with evangelical love of nature that she never talks about will guide us in a leisurely way, and the birds welcome us with song and silence, while snakes never slither off under logs. They will not dare to rattle us three, and so it will be. We're women who have loved and not lost everything. Lust did not twist us permanently. I like to think we took what we could, and all along we will approach age with a grin. Spots will not matter when we go from wet to dry and back to wet again, the sea inside us. And this next one is from Survival. It's called Yes, Little Mind. You are not dying, only inevitably changing. Surrender to the slow progression. Lift into 40 days of quiet. In the beginning, it was a birthright. Now touch each day for a moment of quiet. Tell yourself that it came to you like a mysterious evening bird. Make room for that bird. Know it intends you no harm. Let darkness pave the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Someone was asking if people will remember to give page numbers. It's easier for some people at home. to
If you
follow.
happen to have the book, the page numbers are in the back by the author's name. You can look it up that way too.
They're alphabetical in the back, yeah. Okay. Okay. And thanks, George, who's in the Hudson Valley. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think I said, I said John Macker, if he's, yeah, here's John, and then it'll be Pamela.
Great. Hello, everybody.
Hey, hey.
I'd like to thank John and Jules for these great anthologies. I was in 3 of them, and I'm going to write 2 poems from Walls. I was just down there. I was just down at the border south of Deming, and the wall is not only monolithic, it's surreal, very surreal down there. This is called Navigating an Archipelago of Treacheries. The poppies are electric orange and bright as the sun. The wild roses climb up the wall into the sky. They bunch together in a refuge of fake fallen stars that rustle restlessly in the May breeze. It is summer somewhere south of here. I can feel it coming, its wild breath in my face, warming without reassurance, on its trek from the borderlands to the high country. In Mexico, the journalists are disappearing like virgas, no trace of their words touching ground. This is where sacrifices become bloody ritual, where each daily breath is caught in the act of gasping for prayer. The overheated silence replaces the words, and the pages are worn by the wind into shreds, emptied of all meaning, and the killing continues. I want a reverie of last beers with Luis Alberto Lloria and Charles Bowden. I want to guide my aging bones into the desert walking until it becomes a wisdom tradition. I want to feel the heat of the sun on the back of my arthritic neck. I want to be accompanied by a corona of hummingbirds. Out here, the border trekkers navigate an archipelago of treacheries and burnt out days without succor or shade. We are coming for them, but they are not waiting for us. We will freeze them in their tracks at the wall that somebody around here with circumspect knowledge of the issue is going to pay for. We will stop them in their paw prints. We will plunder animal and plant families and separate them from themselves. The coming heat and the purity of our mission will be relentless and without remorse. In a reverie, I'm blasting back midnight beers with Lloria and Bowden. I am drinking for the lost souls and the misbegotten. My bleeding heart lunges at shadows, won't let me sleep, calls me foul names. Like many people, I used to save all this self-sabotage for the duskiest ends of the day, when I could hear the desert age and then renew itself in the rhetorical flourishes of songbirds, in the ascetic ramblings of the scorpion, when the scent of it was shamelessly spring blossom sweet. And I'd like to read a quick poem, thank you. I'd like to read a quick poem called On the Borderline with Pancho Villa. And it's for Lawrence Welsh, good friend of mine. My famous River's Edge cottonwoods, over 100 years old, are almost skeletons now. Brittle, deep roots in the worn, hollowed ground, quenched by the medicine of time's passage. This is where our borders come to pray against prayer, to grieve against grief. We're close enough to touch the tragedy of Mexico with our ghost fingers. Ascendant moon illuminates this ancient fabric of space with the last revolution's blue heron lifted off the Rio Grande. And once the smoke cleared, where the blood reached deep ground towards a new inventory of darkness. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jules and John. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
John.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. I had
That's some rough light, man. I gotta get better lighting. if I'm gonna do this.
Pamela will be coming up next. But I just wanted to ask a couple of folks, I wasn't sure if they wanted to read or not. Stuart, did you want to read or?
Mine's on a dog.
Elise, did you want to read?
Sorry.
Yeah, and Jane Lippman, did you want to read? Okay, so it's next up is going to be Pamela Williams, then Elise Stewart, and then Jane Lippman. Okay, Pamela, you may unmute.
Thanks, John. Thanks to both of you. I'm first going to read one from Walls. I voted for this one rather than what I had in Survival because it's a little more hopeful. The one in Survival even had a line about kids going to school hoping it's just another day. And I went, whoa, I can't go there right now. So I'm going to share this one first. It's on page 88 of Walls, and it's called Destructive Construction. We build them ourselves, you know. oh, possibly some guidance from a racist father or frightened grandmother who lived through a time when there was really not enough. Having read the story of that compassionate judge who spent the night sharing the cell and the fear of the vet with PTSD and claustrophobia after doing the requisite sentencing, he talked him back to the embrace of the Southland. They communed in meatloaf and humanity. How did we become so lost, so disparate from one another, and still so very much the same? Excuse me. Reaching for trust in our intentions, straining to raise the vibrations for all the hungry ghosts. You could never exhaust such abundance, not in another foolish lifetime. Excuse me. I discover myself weeping again and again, broken open most often by the stories of crumbled walls. And then John offered to me that I should bring Stuart with me tonight. So I'm going to share something of Stuart's that was in survival. It's called Rolling Through. It's on page 86. We're rolling with it. The disconnect, taxes, details of vampire culture, also aspirations of goodness, pushing up through the temporary asphalt. Stay the wild course. We maneuver the corrugated dream, the mysterious 0 point. Power as commodity, source elusive now and impersonal. We're rolling with it. We watch one another pushing the cart, leaning towards some virtual treat. We watch the sleepy, uneducated mind coming online. Vigilance, friend, is worship. We mean to say love. We go through the motions. Equilibration being established. The cosmic clock hums, plays it through in time. We're just rolling with it. Thank you,
Oh, yeah.
Stuart.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Stuart. Yeah, we've lost a lot of good friends in the past 5 years. I was, realizing that when I looked at the volumes again. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Pamela.
Thank you.
And also from Silver City, Elise Stewart is next. And as I put in chat, it's going to be Elise followed by Jane Lipman, Teresa Gallion, Rich Boucher, Holly Wilson, and
Holly is not here. And
Holly's not here, and then Bill Nevins is still here. So.
if you want to move, and if somebody wants to move Bill up, I think he said his tooth was hurting. So.
Oh yeah,
but it's up
okay.
to you.
Okay, well, how about after Jane, then we'll put Bill in. He just had dental surgery a couple days ago. Okay, so Jane and then Bill. Okay. Jane, can you unmute?
Whoops.
We can hear you. We can hear you now, Jane. Oh, now you've unmuted again. All right. I mean, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
My can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My poems are very short, so I wanted to teach everybody the rain song if you don't already know it. And when you do it, you just visualize rain. I did it once in Santa Fe when we had 55 people together and it rained while we were there. So first you rub your hands together for the really soft kind of rain, like that. Then we go like this for the raindrops. Then you slap your thighs for a louder rain. And then while slapping your thighs, you stamp your feet for a real loud rain. And then you do it over, you keep doing it and visualize it while you're doing it. So please teach it to everybody. It works. I'm going to read one from survival and one from water. The survival one is on page 149. It's a true story that I read in the newspaper. It's called Unsung. It is late at night. You are by yourself, a nurse heading home from the late shift. You step out of the subway, inhale the acrid air, push the turnstile. Glancing up the steps, you see the gleam of a knife. You climb the stone stair, address the man hidden there. Excuse me, it's late and I'm scared. Would you mind walking me home? After that, he waits at your subway stop every midnight and walks you to your door. The one from water. I had it marked. The one from water is on page 96. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted. Let me try this one. I have two in water. It's on page 73. And I want to thank, of course, I'm not going to say Jules and Jim this time. Jules and John for the series and for everything you do for poetry. This is called Rain. Tonight, after long drought, rain breaks over the garden. For a while it dwells, falling, falling, filling cracks and tracks of bare. In the junipers, thirsty birds watch in silence as long streaks glide in, water deep roots, tap the drums of leaves, arrive in ears of iris, the mouths of wild rose, the fading lilacs. A gratitude I have carried since I was a small child just listens. It's unsolvable why I want to stand in the dripping orchard forever, watching everything taste rain, travel where I have never been, and in embryo of apple, of peach, taste melody begin in the hearts of songbirds. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Jane. Quite lovely. And that first poem, wow, blows me away every time I hear it. Thank you. And I inadvertently skipped over Elise Stewart. So we'll have Elise, then Bill Nevins. So Elise.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. Thank you, Jules and John. This is often awesome. And thank you, Pamela, for letting me know about it. This poem was written a long time ago in 2018, probably, when the beginning we heard about the tragedies of the immigrants and the children. It's called infrasound because the elephants talk in a subsonic way in an article that I had kept for 10 years about that. And that's the way I felt that the children were speaking to us, infrasound. Passing through forest and grassland, roaring like a river, beneath sandy arroyos, underneath concrete streets, runs a message. The children in deep distress are calling, locked away in metal cages ripped from parents' arms, a thin blanket on cement floors, no windows to look from, the dusty ground, the bird song, the kiss of breeze has also been taken from them. The cry goes out, help us, bring us back to our families, you who walk the world, speak for us, set us free. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And next up, Bill Nevins.
Yeah. John kindly asked me to read 3 poems because one is very short, so I'll do that. The poem I'll read is from Survival. It's on page 115. Many of you folks know that my late son was a U.S. Army commando paratrooper. You may not know that he was a very outspoken in the Army and without, anti-fascist and anti-racist. When I think of the brilliant but too short arc of my son's life, I also often think of the myth of Icarus. So this poem is called Wings. Feathers found scattered on this homely maze below. Some might say he flew too high. Some say, hey, soldiers die, you know. I say, he rises still, fire in the moon, love in his heart, laughter in his eye. Thank you. And this second poem is from Wall, page 125. It is called Windfall. In rereading it all these years later, I see that it touches on the fact that when there is a sudden, especially violent death in a family, that family can kind of spin apart in a sort of centrifugal force that some call estrangement. I'm happy to say that my own family is beginning to end that estrangement with love. But anyway, this poem was written quite a while ago. I also feel that theme reverberates with the horror of Buffalo and Uvalde. I can't imagine those poor families. So anyway, this poem, Windfall, begins with an epigraph from the Jefferson Airplane, their song, Greasy Heart. Don't ever change, people, even if you can. Don't change before the empire falls. You'll laugh so hard, you'll crack the walls. Windfall. Must fall, should fall, will fall. After that death we never saw coming, a death too soon, that wall went up, that cursed wall. So we could not talk. Estranged. How strange. That wall must fall. I throw love over the wall, under the wall, through the wall, love through the air, love in the wind. Wall fall, wind will wash, wall fall, wind will roar, wall fall, wind will blow. Love against the wall. Love you all. Keep on battering down this empire's wall with love until there is no wall. Thank you. And the last poem I'll read will be called, and it is on page 140 of the Water volume. And I think it takes on resonance now with the horror of the wildfires that are destroying so much of New Mexico and its ancient farmlands. Anyway, here it is. Desert, faith, and deluge for the water protectors. When she calls to us from ancient farmlands, from holy plains, from the brave river. She calls to blue sky, stripped trees, wind-ripped clouds. Gray cliffs shrug to feel the weight of rain, of ice, of sun, to hear her cry. We answer her with howls of coyotes, bird calls, rustle of leaves and pine needles, or with the silent laughter of stars. Our wise friend says we take in too little water here. Rain courses through our sleeping bodies until lightning scorches and wakes our souls. We must fuel that torrent, that flash, as our eyes storm when we see her dance, hoping she may drench us in forgiving tears. So revolution flows in a turn of her hip. And yet we stop, stone dead, without that river run, sea swell, ocean roll. We know this too well. We all need that reservoir, great gulp, small sip, at least enough to spit, at least enough for the next kiss. For we are that odd-legged fish wrenching itself up into this new dry day in this place where some forgotten God meant us to be all along, but dared not tell us. For we could not imagine the feel of dirt, suck of lung, stretch of limb, what it is not to swim in wavering shadows with the sure pull of the moon. And so we dream of dolphins, seals, whales, and lonely selkies who sing us our own lost memories of that sweet wave-rocked life, soft lullaby of time long gone, before this place of stone became our always home, under a hard fire stare, under an icy star glare. It is so dry here in this desert town. Let's taste her tears, those wild, roaring glacier streams. Gracias.
Tremendous reading, Bill. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see, we got Teresa Gallion, Rich Boucher, and then Jules is going to, are there any other, before we get to open mic, are there any other contributors that have not yet read that wanted to read? Did I overlook anybody? I know G.E. Schwartz, I don't know. Anyone else who is a contributor that I may have overlooked? Okay, well then we'll go with Teresa, followed by Rich, followed by another poem by Jules.
I'm reading from Water, page 74. Sacred Flow. The river opens its moist arms, captures the light stream, sparkles in thanksgiving for light flames that roll down the waterfall. A rainbow joins the float downstream. Light kisses every droplet with unconditional love. A calm tease flows over rocks that rest in sandy bliss. Bubbling and gurgling love touches stone. Humans engaged in indecent exposure cannot resist the water's touch as it nourishes, teases thirst, calms, cleanses. We pollute and alter the current of that which sustains life and renewal.
divine, sacred water, precious and abused. You do not stop despite mankind's immoral violence on your flow. Will we ever learn a simple truth? No living thing can live without water. And the second one is from Walls, and it's called Contagious Disease. The species Homo sapien has always built physical and emotional barriers passed from one generation to the next. Many groups fled other countries to avoid persecution, hunger, and rejection. They came to the Americas, staked claims on nature, and built fences to block others. Every group fought against blockades and carved a space they called their own. Once settled, they created rejection walls for the next group of settlers. We find ourselves in the 21st century, and every group that fought and forged space now rejects those who want to come into that space called America. It seems to be a contagious disease, constructing walls against immigrants. Mankind has not worked to find a cure. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you.
That's great work, Mama.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
You share. Okay. Who is the Poetry Playhouse author? All right.
Thanks, John. I want to thank John. Thank you. And thank you also, Jules, for the honor of being a part of this, having the work appear in this. I'm doing two poems. First one is from Survival, and it's on page number 36. I guess this was sort of the response to the invasion of the shit hooks. This poem is called First Rich Corinthians chapter 4 verse 1. Supposedly someone once said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, or expecting the Spanish Inquisition. I can't remember which at this moment. And I'm told that evidently Einstein was the person who said that, but I think there's plenty of reason to doubt whether or not Einstein even existed. Since we're now living in the seventh dimension, which is the dimension comprised of cosmic particles, sentient tweets, and alternative facts. And in this brand new and quite grand dimension, we are all held for ransomware, while the ubiquitous and militarized police walk back to their cruisers to see if they can get authorization. And hydroplaning means to slide uncontrollably on the wet surface of a road. And I'm sliding uncontrollably on the surface of the 24-hour news cycle. And while a gargoyle is defined as a grotesque carved human or animal face or figure projecting from the gutter of a building and typically acting as a spout to carry water clear of a wall, I am defined as someone who is going to insanely continue to hope for a better day, which might mean that I might need to get my head examined or unpacked, but that might just be me being ableist against myself, because I've evidently contracted United States flavored Stockholm syndrome. And a melodrama is not defined as a melodream, is defined as a sensational dramatic piece which exaggerated characters and exciting events intended to appeal to the emotions, but I've only got so many emotions left to spare. This is 2017. This is 2017. This is the year of our overlord, 2017. And one definition of bondage is the sexual practice that involves the tying up or restraining of one partner. And another definition of bondage is the state of being someone else's slave. And if the president is going to continue fucking us while coup d'etat-ing us into a corner store, can we all at least ask for ball gags to drown out our screams? And a theater is defined as a building or an outdoor arena in which plays or other dramatic performances are given. And every day we look around and find that all of the storefronts and school fronts are just clapboard facades with nothing behind them. And I regret to inform you that this poem is not allowing cameras in the room today. And you are not allowed to report on the things announced in this poem. And you are no longer permitted to take pictures of this poem. And this poem will only be available for a few minutes behind the bushes at 1600 Pennsylvania Ave. And no recording devices are going to be allowed. And any questions about why this is happening will not be allowed. And subjugation is defined as the action of bringing someone or something under domination or control. And some nights I wake up to find Sean Spicer kneeling down beside my bed, his face only inches from mine. And he says, "You better not say anything." And cotton candy is defined as a mass of fluffy spun sugar, usually pink or white, wrapped around a stick or a paper cone. And I wish I was a mass of fluffy and spun sugar instead of this mass of frustrated and confused human skin and blood cells wondering where the hell all my votes went. And sometimes I feel unusually pink and white. And even though I do not believe in God, I'm told that God doesn't take offense to that, which is a good thing, a happy accident, a boon and a feather, because I'm feeling the need to open up the book of gibberish and turn to chapter 4, verse 1 of First Rich Corinthians. I'm feeling the need to holler and imprecate until all that lightning in the clouds tonight stitches together some words that maybe I can live by until such time as I've got nothing more to worry about.
Wow.
And that is dedicated to the shit hooks on the far right. And second poem is gonna be well, okay. So in light of everything that happened in Uvalde, and all of these other places with the schools, so I heard somebody on Facebook said they were brought to tears by these pictures of these decorated caskets for the kids, and I said stop. I wanted to say stop crying. That's what they want. They get off on the weeping and the tears. What needs to happen is the people on the far right are the ones who need to be made to start crying. And I want to dedicate this poem specifically to Wayne LaPierre, NRA head, who has one of the grossest mouths I've ever seen. His stupid, jangly, wobbly mouth. He's just so profoundly unfuckable and medically gross. This is something I'm going to share, dedicated to Wayne LaPierre. If I'm being honest, not to be mean, but you are nightmarishly ugly. The kind of ugly that can change a stranger's whole personality at a distance. I think about where your eyes are on your face in relation to where your nose is, and I start to retch from the beginning of time. The sight of you makes me make sounds only a dog should be able to make, or a wolf trying to get down a spoonful of body odor. My father used to tell me fairy tales about your face, so I would have an easier time going to sleep crying. I saw someone who looked like you on television, and I charged the TV like a bull, ramming my head through the glass until nobody was born anymore. My mind tries to handle how hard you are to look at, and in the process, I'm not okay anymore. A bouquet of gardenias grows out of the back of my head. My aunt slaps my mother, even though the both of them are dead. This isn't personal. It's just all about you and how every time I happen to see your face, I hear the angry roar of a chainsaw. And I almost throw up food I ate 10 years ago. Norman Rockwell went through an experimental phase once and created a painting based upon a close-up photo of a maggot barfing up baby food. And the look on the face of the first person to ever see that painting is what you look like. I'm that person every time I see you, and I want to strangle Norman Rockwell so hard I can hear my own knuckles melting. Your face is like what happens when a pile of dog shit gets overwhelmed by the futility of it all and bursts into tears. The first time I saw a picture of you, I killed myself. but then I had to bring myself back to life so that I could try to warn everybody.
Oh, okay. Rich, give it up for Rich Boucher.
No more tears. Give them
Okay.
anger. Give them rage, because they're coming too hard to our tears. They need to be made to be crying themselves.
Okay, well, that's a tough act for Jules Nyquist to follow. Jules?
Thanks, Rich. It's always a pleasure to follow you. All right, I'm gonna read one out of Survival, page 179. And this one also later appeared in Atomic Paradise. It's called How to Send a Petroglyph into the Future. And as we're closing out this Poets Speak, I just wanted to really thank everybody who was involved with this, all the poets and all the places that we read. And let's see, it was 2017 when we wrapped this up. John did most of it.
We wrapped it up.
Yeah. We had the wrap party up in Santa Fe at Peter's Projects.
Thanks to John Macker. That was in summer 2018.
Oh, what summer? Okay. So anyways, a couple of years, and then little did we know how long we'd be reading from these, but it's just always good to revisit them. I haven't read a lot of these poems since then. So, all right, How to Send a Petroglyph into the Future. 500 generations into the future, humans will try to decipher the remains of our blasts by the signs we post outside our nuclear waste sites. Will language be forgotten, like how we decipher petroglyph symbols from ancient civilizations peeking between our suburban subdivisions? Volcanic rock and Albuquerque shouts and silence among hikers and preservationists. How can we be sure what is buried there? The waste isolation pilot plant contains 2 million cubic feet of radioactive waste buried half a mile deep in a 250 million year old salt deposit. We are dumping our nuclear sludge until 2070. When we will seal the area around the plant with warning messages in Spanish, Navajo, Chinese, Latin, Hebrew, and English? Shouldn't we include a few petroglyphs?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
We should. Thank you. So we got a few open mic folks. I know Doc Janning from Cleveland, I think, would like to read, and then. And Christine from Minneapolis, I think, would like to read, and Brett Nelson. So those would be the next three. So Doc, can you unmute?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have 2 poems for you. Through the ever-changing, through the door of the future, comes a dance of time, of life, of yearning, and of a self written on by another. The inscription, a prescription that I may heal and grow in the light of their spirit. I see the past up close and indifferent, ecstatic, painful before. I feel possible, improbable memories of a future yet to be, and all becomes a song of nirvana, a canticle of love.
Thank you. That was
And
quite
this one is titled The Poem of Life. Each life is a phoneme, each species a letter, each genus a word. each family a line, each order a stanza, each class an image, each phylum a rhythm, each kingdom a thought, each domain a density, each a part of the whole in the poem of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc, very much for those. Unless those are both very short, but ordinarily one poem in the open mic unless they're very short. So next is Christine, but those were, thank you. Christine.
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, take it away.
Sure. Coming from Minneapolis, this poem won the Environmental Injustice Contest for St. Thomas University.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's one of 6 winners, but still. Let us consider where we were born, where else that might have been within our vast, lifeless known space. Science fiction movie myth will of fantasy escape shuttles to nearby livable planets. Proxima Centauri requires 73,000 years of travel. Mars is poisoned by radiation, dead to its core. These are not homes away from our plastic death seas. Some see apocalypse, welcome global warming, place hope in permafrost's hidden bounty from manufacture against rising tides. 385,000 babies born each day. Agricultural demands harvest freshwater scarcity. War will arrive at our Great Lakes homes, where we relax with insectless, pleasant camping, pesticides in plastic bottles for weed-free lawns, blissfully ignorant of our effect on the wider world. Earth is governed by physics. Natural science cares not for your politics or cultures or money. When all the fish have choked in hypoxic water, when all the amphibians are deformed with 2 heads, when there are no large game trophies left for your den, we will eat each other until sand and sun bleach our skulls into beautiful fossils. Thank you.
Wow. That is quite a vision. Yes, unfortunately, I wish it were science fiction. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Christina. Let's see. I think, who did I say was next up?
Brett.
Oh, yeah, Brett. Thanks, Brett. It's getting late.
Okay. Thank you,
Brett
Jules.
from Albuquerque. Yeah, take it away, Brett.
I want to say the last Poet Speak reading at Tortuga Gallery after the survival episode was one of the first poetry events I attended in Albuquerque. And I just came away with amazed at how rich the poetry community is in Albuquerque. And I was hooked from.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And thank you for, I had forgotten to thank Tortuga Gallery. We did a lot of really good readings there. Yes, but glad that it inspired you.
It was wonderful. So this is a poem called On the River. And it goes back to a little experience I had back in the 70s. Canoeing on a river for the first time, a narrow stream in rural Indiana, lined with trees and vegetation so dense, the fields of corn on just the other side of them have disappeared out of existence, taking us back a couple hundred years. Moving with the river's pace, I gently stroke my paddle to this side and that to follow the river's curve and course. Occasionally, we paddle hard to dodge rocks below the surface or limbs of fallen trees poking their arms in our way. My brother and I don't talk much because the river speaks in a silent voice louder than any human speech, a silence so pure it's breathtaking. When we round a bend, a huge blue and gray bird about 30 yards ahead rises into the air and flies silently off downstream. I'm stunned. I had no idea herons inhabited the river. Now I know why it's called a great blue heron, majestic, like I've just seen God, or something akin, and lived to tell the story. We paddle on, drifting and gliding for another 20 minutes, and there it is again, flying off downstream, just as before, under its 6-foot wingspread, with an unhurried grace, like a God who owns the river. Another 10 or 15 minutes, and we see it a third time, letting us get no closer than before. Great in its kingly or queenly presence, and wise enough to keep its distance. When we reach our takeout point after a few hours on the river, I'm still in awe that we were graced by such a spirit 3 times, as if to stamp a period on it. My spirit is still flying like a great bird.
That was delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like a God that rules the river. Yes, beautiful. Thank you. Let's see. Joe and Ellen Sorensen, I think you're still here. Please unmute.
Audio now unmuted. Yes, definitely I am here. Okay, this is Joe here. This one short poem, really written just a while ago. It's called Essential. Essential, essential. That was a word in the heart of the pandemic. Whatever we wanted to do we want to go to class? Well, it's got to be essential. Do we want to go to school? It must be essential. Can we sing in church? It must be essential. You can't be so close to one another. Oh, you might spread, but I must sing. I must sing anyway because I use the word essential wherever I go. And now restrictions have gone, masks are going away, and essential, the word is forgotten. We do not use this. Oh no, oh no. Oh Joe, I am the word essential. I'm gonna cry. People don't use me. Joe, please, can you put me back into your vocabulary rating? Oh yes, I promise essential to use you more and more. Essential. Thank you.
Love that, Joe. Thank you. Ellen, do you have a poem for us?
Ellen.
Hang on.
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
here I am.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I was working with the keyboard there.
Okay.
Okay. Continuing the water theme. I was listening, to all the poetry and I know I didn't put anything in there, but I figured, well, this will be appropriate. It's called Hailstone. When we lived at a hotel for a little while after being displaced from a fire at the place where we lived at that time. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me start that again. I messed up here. When we lived at a hotel for a little while after being displaced from a fire at the place we lived some time ago. The two of us were in the lobby. It was raining outside. One of our neighbors went out and picked up a hailstone and showed it to us. It was small. It doesn't rain that much, but when it does, it rains hard and sometimes hails. Or we don't get that much at all. When it does, enjoy it. Remember that water is life and it comes from heaven.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. Did Elizabeth McPherson, did you want to read?
Yes, I just, I'm glad to be back. I was, last time I was here, it was in January, and I got
Oh,
very
okay.
sick, and so.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
You're
I
doing
had-
better now, I hope.
Yes, we're selling our house in Placitas, and I'm very sad about that.
Oh.
Going on the market next week, and my husband and I have moved to a senior center in Santa Fe, but
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get back in, and actually I just I miss not being a part of the world, so I'm trying to get back into the world. But
Sure.
I'm going to read a poem that I have not written in a while, but I'm going to read a poem that my granddaughter said, "Grandma, can you read this for me?" And I said, "Okay." She is a musician in Dallas, and this is a song, but it's like a poem. It's called "In the Desert." Roswell in the desert, she called it. In the desert, not far away, there are lights, tiny lights that echo through the night. All at once, it was the light. My heart started racing, pacing. I hear you shout out in the dark. How did you know to get this far away? The thought we had the supernatural spark, but all of you did was beam me away out there in the desert. You better look out. Round and round I go, out of place, don't know why. Is this a delusion inside my head? What a risky endeavor. They are gonna poke and prod you, turn you around and find another way home. I tell you, I hear you shout out in the dark. How did you get so far away? Though we had a supernatural spark, but all you did was beam me away. Out there in the desert, you better look out. Top secret desert. She made her way through the debris on a sheep ranch, got me in a trance. Some kind of crash in the distance in the desert. Chills going through the spine, a disc like existence.
Oh.
I'm just glad to be back, and I am hoping to. I'm recovering. I'm better. I'm okay. So I will be coming back, but I hated to sell my house in Placitas, but that's the way it is. It's going up for
Yeah.
sale next week.
Well, at least you'll still be in the area, so that's good.
Yes,
And,
you are.
I
Yeah.
wish you luck with the sale. I hope it goes well.
Thank you.
And the move. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to see you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Jules.
Yeah. So you'll be close enough if you want to come down to one of our workshops sometime, you can still do
Yes,
that.
I do. Yeah, but it's not that far. Yeah, it's only 4 miles.
Zooming.
Very close. Yeah.
I always wanted to take lessons from Jules on the on poetry, and hopefully that she could guide me. But all of a sudden I was gone. But I'm back.
Well, you're back. That's what's important.
We'll
Yeah.
do it someday.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good. Let's see. We have just a couple people that haven't read. Hardy Coleman, did you want to read something?
I could if there's time for a poem.
Yeah, if it's not too long, sure. Mhm.
That long. It's about that long.
Okay. Okay. And then we have Dax Strauss as well on the list. Mhm.
Let's see it. Okay, I wrote this a little over a year ago after the shooting in Boulder, Colorado. It's titled 10 Dead at King Soopers, March 22nd, 2021. Called my sister. Hey, any of your brood in Boulder? Her youngest is, and that's where he buys groceries. Not armor, not bullets, sardines and toilet paper. And yeah, maybe some kid in that store yesterday tried to lift a Snickers bar and paid with his short life. But even if he's guilty, that still ain't fair. But then what is in America? I held back tears while my sister let them flow, because that's what guys do in the land of the free. And my nephew was up all night calling his friends. You all right? Are you all right, dipshit? Just answer your goddamn phone. And my wife put on some Otis Redding, while my sister found the strength to say, I love you, stay safe. While my nephew caught a half-hour nap, while Otis been loving me too long, and my tear ducts found at last the clogged up faucet, opened it for Otis, for that kid who never got to eat his Snickers bar, for every one of us standing in the line of fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Hardy. That was quite powerful. Thank you. I
Thank
love
you.
the Otis Redding touch as well. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I hope we'll see you at some future cactus readings. So yeah, we have another one at the end of July. So yeah. So make sure if you're not on our mailing list,
I think I
check-
signed up. I will double check.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good. Well, thank you. And I think there was one other person I think that had not read. I don't know if Dax Strauss, is Dax interested in reading?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Would you like to read something?
Yes, thank you. It's been really inspiring to sit here or not sit here. I've been sitting in my car, but I've actually been driving this whole time.
Now,
And when we started,
where do you live?
I live in Tucson, but
Oh.
when I started driving, I was in Kansas, and I can say I'm not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. But I'm actually on the way to New Mexico or past New Mexico, so I'll be passing through y'all's way quickly. But thank you so much for allowing me this space. It's been making me kind of reflect on my own past few years, and I've been in this time. I came out to my parents as trans in 2017. And so while everything has been going on with the country, I've been very much going on through my own journey. And just all the talk of policing people's bodies and things like that is something that I can very strongly relate to. And my own poem is one related to my transition. And so thank you. It's not that long, and I'll read it now. It's called Foreskin. Two Jewish men sit in a bar and talk about their foreskin. Have you heard that one before? Me either. He's getting circumcised in his 50s? Yeah, he really wanted it done. He didn't feel complete without it. My mom's friend informs me about her husband. It was the first time I perceived the bottom dysmorphia of Soviet Jewish men. My dad was not circumcised like many of his other Jewish friends growing up in the Soviet Union for their own safety. My nosy mind craves to ask him about it, to compare notes, to tell him about my own growing penis and euphoria, to have a father-son bonding moment of having a penis like my father's. My brother, who has been circumcised, just had a child and is not only about to cut off the baby's foreskin, but also an 11th finger. How can they simultaneously spout right-wing rhetoric about waiting till trans kids are grown while cutting off their own babies? The euphoric convo is already over before it's even had because it's covered in landmines. We reach around in the dark, wanting connection and having none. We are met.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great poem. Thank you. Dax, you're in Tucson, right? Do you know Dee Cohen?
Who?